Hello, welcome to the Natural Spinner. It's 2017 and I have decided that I'm going to try really hard this year to do maybe at least one video a month. That might be achievable for me. It's the logistics of it, getting it perfect in my mind, which there is no such thing, as we all know. But anyway, I'm going to try this year. So I'm going to start off with sharing one of my projects with you that I'm working on right now. This fiber is Polwarth, and it came from Australia. If you don't know much about Polwarth or have not heard of it, there are so many fibers out there that it's almost impossible to know about every single one of them. But this is an Australian developed breed, and you can look it up on the web. You can type in Polwarth, or better yet, type in the word Tarndie, Tarndie, which is actually short for a longer word that I'm embarrassed to even try and pronounce properly, so I won't. But if you type that in, you'll get the website, and they'll tell you the story about the fiber and how they developed it, why they developed it. And I don't remember why I decided that I wanted to try this. It was one of the finer fibers. It's 3/4 merino and 1/4 Lincoln by design. But it doesn't have the bad qualities of the merino. It's only got the good qualities of the merino, meaning the softness and the crimp. And here is a lock. This is a raw lock right here. You can see that. Beautiful crimp, long. This was supposedly the lesser quality of the fibers that they sell. They sell two different levels of quality fiber, and they'd run out of the best stuff, so I only got about, what, 6 or 7 pounds or whatever it was of their second quality stuff. Now, if that's second quality, well, that's perfectly good enough because the stuff was beautiful. I ended up with 3 colors. I got white, light gray, and dark gray. Now, overbuying fleece, if you're a fleece buyer, you know how easy that can be. You see something pretty, you think, oh, I need to have a lot of it. But as most of us have busy lives, we just don't have the time to get to it all, which is what happened to me. I'm a chronic over purchaser of fleece. I can't help myself. Every year I say, oh, I'm only going to buy 1 or 2 or stick to something that I know and love. And then I'm like, oh, but there's this really pretty one. And I can't help myself. So I'll get it. It'll be, pet and smelled, and, I know it sounds funny if you're not a fleece person, but yes, we love to smell our fleeces because they smell good. And then if I don't get time to get to it, eventually it'll be sold on to someone who may or may not have the time to get to it either, but they think they do, just like I do. So the white and the light gray got sold, and this is the dark gray that I decided to keep. It's just my favorite sort of color, and the tips of the locks have some brown. I don't know if you can see that very well. I did not wash this in lock form either. It's sort of just a jumbled kind of mess, but I am picking it out and lashing it on with the butt end. The tips are on the outside. There's a tip, and the butt end is here, and that's what's going on the comb. Because I'm doing an experiment. I did a true worsted yarn once before, only once that I'm aware of, I think. Did I do a true worsted where I put the fiber facing all the same direction and kept it that way for the 2 plies, and then when I plied it, I think it might have been the opposite, like butt being spun as a singles and then plied with the tips going in for the plying. But this time I'm doing it backwards, or opposite to the first way that I did it. You can read different people's ideas on that and why some people think it's better to spin your singles with the tips first. Some people will say no, spin it with the butt first and then ply tip first. I don't know. So this time I'm doing it spinning. So when I diz this off, I'll turn it around and I'll end up spinning it from the tip end, which is actually going against the scales on it. And then when I apply it, it'll be butt end first, or cut end going in, and that will theoretically smooth the two layers, the two singles together. Or it'll smooth the two singles as you apply, and you'll have supposedly a much smoother yarn, or potentially smoother yarn. I don't know. So this is my experiment. That's why I'm doing it this way this time. You see how staticky that is? Look at the static. It's very dry in the house. We use wood heat, and we don't have any humidifier going. So I just spritz it with the water. You saw my fancy water bottle, right? It's just an old hair gel bottle that I thoroughly washed out with hot water to get any of that residue off. And I've been using it for years, and it has a very fine mist. You want to make sure if you use a mist bottle that it does truly make a mist and not big drops of water. Wet fiber does not comb well. It tends to stick together. So you can see that I'm almost done. And so there's my comb. It's fun. I'm using my iPad, and the little camera eye for it is on that side over there. So it makes it kind of hard because I'm running into my comb trying to reach the middle. Trying to get a decent video for you all. Anyway, so a reminder about labeling your bags, labeling fiber. You see I have my label right there. I label everything, and if I, for some reason, don't label it, I inevitably will go back to it and stare at it wondering, what the heck is this? I mean, I knew when I put it in there what it was, but then I forgot what it was. So I've taken it all off, and I've pushed up the fibers on the back of the comb so that it'll come off easier. And I'm going to start putting it back on. This stuff is so clean. I can't remember if it was coated or not, but it's very clean. It had the tiniest bit of dander in it, which isn't a big deal if you're spinning really fine lace, because it generally will flick out as the fiber spins when you're doing the singles, or you can pick it out, and some of it, of course, will fall out while you're combing. That's not a very pretty piece. We'll save that for later. And you see it's staticking, so I'm going to spritz, very light mist, pull it back straight, keep going. Look at that, look, see that? It's so hard to keep static down in the winter. The tiniest bit of mist. I mean, I can hear the static. I can hear the electric sparks as I'm taking it off. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's sparking. It's very hard to keep it unstaticky. So I don't know if anyone wonders or not why I do this. I do it because I've found that I have a great desire to share knowledge about handcrafts in general, with my focus being on fiber art and all the different fiber crafts, or most of them that I do. I don't felt. I have tried felting. It's just not something I enjoy. So I stick to spinning and knitting, all the fiber prep, of course, up to the spinning. And then I'm learning to weave. So I think those will be my main things, and natural dyeing a little bit. But I have a great love of natural colored fibers. They're in their natural state. When you dye something, a fiber, it feels a little different to me. I don't know if it feels different to other people, but it feels a little different to me. It's got something in it, on it. I don't know, it's just, I guess it's I guess it depends how you dye it, whether you use acid dyes or natural dyes. I've only done natural dyeing. Indigo is not too bad. I do like indigo. That's why I probably have done the most dyeing with indigo of all the natural dyes. But yes, I cheated a little bit because I did get the pre-reduced indigo. I have not tried it fully, the full complicated long procedure of doing it where you do the reducing yourself. Never tried it. Don't honestly know that I ever will. I am a purist, but there are just some things that I don't know that I'll ever do. Even though in my mind I really kind of want to. Just don't know. So I do it. I make the videos. I want to share with you all. Because I think that if people want to do this, there should be a way to find the information so that you can do it. And we don't all live near a great group of fiber art people. Now, I live near Charlottesville, Virginia, which is right in the center of Virginia. And I am fortunate enough to have a very large, be part of, I should say, a very large community of wonderful fiber, mostly ladies. There are a few gents, but mostly fiber ladies. And it's like a big family. We support each other, we help each other, we're there for each other, we have fun. It's just great. So if you happen to live in the Central Virginia area, near Charlottesville, and you haven't joined one of the guilds yet, please look us up because we would love to have you join us. So I don't know what else I could say about it. That's why I do this. I want people to learn, I want to share, and it shouldn't cost an arm and a leg to get the information. I know there are lots of classes out there, but look at that. Not very much waste. When I take the locks and instead of just lashing it on, taking a wad of fiber and just lashing it on, you know, randomly in any direction, that actually produces more waste. So if I put it on in lock with the lock straight pulled out with just the butt or tip end on, I have much less waste. So I keep saying so. Why do I keep saying so? Anyway, I hope to stick to my thing of making more videos because I do enjoy them. It's just not as easy for me to do them. So you can see as I'm combing, let me see if I can turn this a little bit, make it easier for you to see. Okay. I use my hand to help keep the static down. And I'm supposed to turn. I always tell everyone, put a, you know, just take a little tiny bit. Don't pull towards you. My face is actually right in front of where these are. Turn it away from me and pull a little bit. I don't always do that. I get going, I get in a rhythm, and sometimes I just pull it straight. And then I remember, oh, whoops, turn it away from my face, because one day it'll pull hard and jerk and then smack me right in the face, and I'll be walking around with little pinholes on my face. That won't be fun. Just the tips, just the teeny, teeny, teeny bits at the tip. If I go in too far, first of all, it won't pull out without really pulling hard. If I do just the tips, it makes, I can do this in one, off once, back on. And in this case, I'm actually doing it again because I was talking to you, but I have been actually just putting it on, lashing it on, taking it off, putting it back on, and then dizzing it off. But because I'm talking, I got a little distracted, you know, because I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm trying to say. So I'm actually taking it off again, but that's okay. This one has a bit extra dander, so maybe it'll fall out. A little bit, pull. A little bit, pull. The hand that's not holding the comb is wonderful to use to help you with the fiber. As you can see, I use it for grouping the fibers, holding them and pulling a little, pulling gently, and then smoothing them, which actually helps keep the static down, so I'm not having to spray this as much. But you see it's wanting to whoosh out. See, I don't know if you can see, it's all flying staticky. I would love to know what you all would like to see. I know I've got a lot of ideas and things that I would like to do, but maybe that's not what you all are interested in. I don't know. I think the next one I'm going to try and do will be tips and helpful hints about combing and dizzing, especially because dizzing seems to be one of the harder points of combing. So I think I will do that next. The next video hopefully will be something to do with that. This, back to the Polwarth for a minute. I love this stuff. Oh my gosh, I love this. It's really soft. I didn't send it out for micron testing, and it didn't come with that information. And I don't even know the name of the sheep that this came from. It was just random 3 colors of fleece I asked for, and that's what I got. But it doesn't have that. It's got softness, and it's very easy to work with other than the static, but just about every fine fiber I know of acts crazy and all staticky in dry climate. But it doesn't have that high tension spring that most pure merino does. So the bit of Lincoln in there gave it length, it gave it staple length. This was supposed to be the, like I said earlier, the shorter and the lesser quality, their second quality, I guess. But this stuff's beautiful, and that's not short. That's beautiful. It seems to hold its shape well. It doesn't want to spring back on you like merino usually does. Now, different merinos do have different amounts of spring tension. And it is like a tension of a spring. It's like some are just wound tighter than others, and they really spring. You'll start with a lock that's yay long, and after you wash it, it'll be half the length. And then trying to comb something that's, reduced that much in length after washing, not technically reduced in length, but contracted down to that smaller looking size. It's very hard to comb because when you pull it out like that and you let it go, it springs back. It pops back towards the comb, and it makes it very difficult. Now, so I'm going to put this back on, and I'm going to diz it off to make a nice top. So this is a really fine lace. This is being combed for a super fine lace, and I've already done one bobbin. I don't know how well you can see that. Really fine lace. And so that's about 1 ounce on my bobbin. And this will be probably, I've got 12 and 9 grams. I needed, I think, 7 more to make it another ounce, something like that. So once I finish the combing, this might not be quite enough. I might need 1 more comb full of fiber to make the ounce. And then I'll ply it up and try to stick with this until I finish it, because it's so easy to just do one. I do 1 ply, and I debated whether to do half an ounce and make a 1 ounce skein, or do 1 ounce per bobbin for a 2 ounce skein. So I opted to go with 1 per, so I get about a 2 ounce skein. And if you can, I think back, I see I jump around so much when I'm talking about fiber. I don't know, can you see that very well? It's got almost like a stripe in the middle. There's a dark spot here and it's lighter here. That's what's so interesting about this, about gray in general. Most gray fibers are they're variegated. They have a lot of color variation in them. This had brown tips, and I could have cut them off to get a truer gray color, but this will have hints of the brown from the tips in it. And that's okay. It'll make a very heathered effect yarn. So, and I've done a lot of working with gray, and they almost always come out with a heathered effect. It's very rare to find a gray that is so solid that you get truly a solid looking gray color. they all have variation in them. And I think it's beautiful. It's probably what attracts me to gray so much. And I think browns can be sort of the same, but I have a few brown fleeces, and they were pretty true across the whole fleece in terms of color. There wasn't a lot of variation, but gray is very, very variegated in its color. Let's try to get this decent so I can finish up for you. You see I'm holding a little bit, holding this, just pinching and holding behind. It helps to get the fiber off. I don't have to, and if I just use one hand, you see it starts to fly back. So if I use the hand behind the fiber, it won't do it as much. It stays a bit calmer because it pushes it down so it grabs the fiber underneath, the layer underneath. One of the many reasons I prefer a stationary comb as opposed to two moving combs. You have more control over the fiber. You can help it stay where you want it. Alright. And in case I didn't say, and it'll be written in the title, I'm sure, these are Valkyrie Superfine combs. And I think if the house were on fire, I would run in for my spinning wheel and my combs. Yes, I can replace them, but I love these combs. They're very special to me. They've done so many fleeces. I use them more than the extra fines on the back side. So no, let's look at those for a second. So that. Those are my extra fine combs. That's a hackle, and that's the comb over there. So I have the extra fine hackle and comb set on the back. At the moment it's on the back. And then the super fine comb and hackle. I'm not using the hackle at the moment. I could, but I'm not. And that would just get me dizzing a more continuous line of fiber, which sometimes I feel like doing and sometimes I don't. I went to Rhinebeck this past October. It was fabulous. I was so happy to go. And I picked up this little teeny crochet hook. I love it. I'm not sure. I think it was Lacis, L-A-C-I-S, that particular brand. And it says 14 on it. I love this little thing. And it's got a little hole with a little tiny hook on it. See if you can see that better. Little hook on it. So I could theoretically put a string through it and hook it somewhere, but all I did was make a little tiny hole right there, and it just sits there. I love it. I don't have to search around where did I put my crochet hook. I love it. Little teeny. I got two because I had never seen these before, and I thought they were so cool. I thought, oh, I can do something with that. And a lot of you have already seen this, but here's my Diz, my very fancy Diz. It's PVC pipe, and you see all the holes in it. The two great big ones that I would never in a million years use for the kind of spinning that I do. I don't do art yarn spinning, ever. I don't know that I'll really ever embrace it. I'm a lace spinner. I love teeny tiny fine thin singles. I just love it. And yes, it takes me a week to make skein, a 2-ounce skein of yarn, but so be it. I love it. It's pure joy to me. I'm going to actually use this little teeny weeniest hole since I'm aiming for this, for the thin teeny weeny singles that I'm doing. It'll help me. So I'm grabbing from the corner like I always do. As I say to everyone, you don't have to do it that way. It's just the way that I like to do it. If I can find my little hole again. Where are you? There you are. And a lot of people will say she's doing it the wrong way. You've got the Diz the wrong way. Most people like to do it this way so that the fibers are pushed in as you go. Yes, of course you can do it that way. This is just the way I like to do it. It works for me. I say try it both ways, see what's more comfortable for you. It makes sense to have it curved towards the fiber because then the fiber gets pushed into the center. It just works better for me this way. So I'm going to pull, push in, and I need to pull a little further for this to get it going through that hole, because the hole is so tiny. If I was to, here, wait a second, I'll turn that a little more. If I go in too far, it's going to grab too much fiber and it's going to get stuck in the hole. So pull a little further than I normally would if it were in the bigger hole. And you see in my left hand, I don't let the fiber go right away. A lot of people will pull it, open their hand, drop it, grab, pull, drop, grab, pull, drop. I have never done that. I don't know why I started doing it this way. I just do it this way. So, and I rotate my hand. I pull with my thumb, and then I turn my fingers. I don't know if you can see that. And I pull, and I push, and then I pinch, and I pull, and I turn. It's just the way I do it, and I do it so quickly I don't even think about it most of the time. I just alternate between pinching with my thumb and forefinger, and then usually I guess it's the middle finger that I end up pulling, and then I turn. It's especially good to not let the fibers go for fibers that slip, mohair, alpaca. And once my hand gets full, then I'll let it go in my lap and then start over. It just seems to hold the fibers better together. It keeps them together better than if I was to let it go every single time I pulled. And I'm trying to get them all, so I'm going to adjust the fiber. Try to keep it organized. Oop. My hands are so dry. I can put lotion on, but this time of year it's just terrible for my hands and all my skin in general. And done. Now, what did I say about my direction? All right, my direction, that's the butt end, that's the tip. So I actually would normally flip this around, grab the first end, I think, isn't it? And then wind it up like that. But this time, because I'm doing tip in, I'm gonna start the winding, the gentle nest making, as some people like to call it, with the butt end, so that I'm going to spin from the tip. And I'm doing this super loosely because I'm actually going to spin this later today, so it's not tight. And even if I were not going to spin it right away and store it, I wouldn't want it to be tight. It'll just make it tend to want to compact more, especially if it's in storage for a long time. So anyway, there's my Diz top with Valkyrie Superfine combs. Polwarth, gorgeous Polwarth from Tarndie. I recommend highly the Tarndie Polwarth. Comes directly from the place that developed the breed, so you cannot go wrong with their fiber. It's absolutely gorgeous. And Wendy, the contact person, she's very nice to deal with. She'll respond to you. She's very good to deal with. So I think that's it for today, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And please leave a comment, and please send any suggestions to me if you have any. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.